watched a Houston investor lose $127,000. His name was David, 80 years old, worked 80 years in the oil and gas industry, saved $200,000 to build real estate portfolio that will give him family generational wealth. He called me on a Tuesday afternoon, and the first thing he said was, "Joseph, I think I made a terrible mistake." He had bought a single family rental property in a Houston suburb 14 months earlier. He paid $387,000. When we pulled the numbers that day, the property was worth $260,000. He had lost $127,000, not because the market crashed, not because he was reckless, but because of one neighborhood data point he never checked before he signed. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what killed David's investment. The 5 neighborhood red flags every investor in Texas needs to check before they write a single check, and the capital allocator playbook that would have saved him everything. This is no hype. Let's get into it. Here is what makes David's story so important. He wasn't a rookie. He had done his homework. He analyzed the gross rental multiplier. He ran a cash-on-cash return calculation. He even hired a property inspector. On paper, the deal looked solid. He bought in a suburb northwest of Houston, a growing area, new retail development, moving in, and a school district that had just received a B+ or a B rating. Rents in the area were running about $2,200 a month. His PITI, that is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, came out to be $2,050 a month. He was going to clear $150 a month in cash flow. Not rich, but a start. But David never asked the one question that separates a capital allocator from a wishful thinker. What is this neighborhood going to look like in 24 months? And the answer would have stopped him cold or from proceeding. And here are the 5 neighborhood killers, or the things that kill business if you're doing a rental business. Let me be very clear here. David's neighborhood didn't fail overnight. It failed in slow motion, and the data was available the whole time. These are the 5 neighborhood killers I now check on every single investment before I even consider putting in an offer for the deal. And I'm going to be very clear here so that you can walk away knowing what neighborhood to buy and what neighborhood to avoid. The killer number 1 here is FEMA flood zone classification. David's neighborhood had recently been classified from zone minimum flood risk to zone AE, high risk. This happens more than people realize, especially in greater Houston area after Hurricane Harvey exposed drainage failures across entire zip codes. When a property moves into zone AE, flood insurance becomes mandatory, and cost can cost an additional $3,000 to $6,000 a year. On David's property, that wiped out his $150 cash flow and turned it into a $350 monthly loss, just like that. The number 2 killer of a business or rental portfolio is permit pulls and new construction permits. Within 6 months of David's purchase, the city approved 340 new single-family units within a 2-mile radius of his property. More supply means more competition. Rates don't just go up, they go down slowly. David's 2,200 rent became a 1,950 because his prospective tenants have brand new homes to choose from, so they can pick and choose. And killer number 3 here is the school district rating drops. The B rating, it drops to a C within 1 year due to redistricting change. In Houston, the school district rating drop of 1 letter grade can reduce property values by 3 to 7%. In a $380,000 home, that is up to $27,000 gone before inflation touches a single thing. And killer number 4 here is Employer anchor risk. Every neighborhood has an employer anchor, a major company or industry that drives population growth. In David's suburb, the anchor was a regional distribution center that has just announced a planned closure. 400 jobs gone. Those 400 families needed somewhere to live, and then they did it. Vacancy rates in the neighborhood jumped from 4% to 11% in under 1 year, and this all add up. Killer number 5 here is a crime threat in areas or neighborhood that has crime report. Of course, it's going to affect your property value. Not just the number. Most investors look at the current crime rate. Capital allocators look at the direction. Is it trending up or down over the last 36 months? David neighborhood had a rising trend, not alarming yet, but the vector was wrong. Insurance companies see this data. Appraisers sees this data. Eventually, buyers see this data. It becomes a public data. And here's the thing that caused David. And again, I'm going to be very clear here in the cost of this video, so you know exactly what he lose on this deal. Here's what $127,000 actually means in real life. That is David's daughter college fund. That is 3 years of retirement contributions. That is the down payment on 2 more properties. The portfolio he was trying to build. He called me because he wanted to know if he should sell or hold on to this property, and I had to tell him the truth. In his current position, every month he heard he was paying $350 out of pocket while the property continued to depreciate. Sometimes the most expensive thing you can do in real estate is hold on out of pride. David is not a failure. David is a lesson, and what you don't know in real estate can cost you a lot of money. If this video is showing you something again you haven't seen before, hit that like button right now. It helps me reach out more Texas investors who need to hear the truth about this market before it's too late. And if you want my 5-point neighborhood audit checklist, the exact tool I use before every investment, comment the word audit and I will send you straight to you or send you that information. All right, let's keep going because David's story isn't over yet, and I'm going to tell you the interesting part of this story. What David should have done before he actually bought his investment property, and this is where it really gets interesting. So what should David have done differently? What must you have did before jumping into this investment? Here is the capital allocator checklist, and I want you to save this part of the video. Number 1 thing is the FEMA flood map. Before the offer, go to this website mlc.fema.gov. I repeat, mlc.fema.gov, and type in the property address. It takes 90 seconds. If it's in zone AE or zone A, get a flood insurance quote immediately. If that quote makes your cash flow negative, walk away. Never buy a property where mandatory insurance destroys your returns before you even own that property. Step 2 thing you need to do here is pull the city permit data. Every Texas city has a public permit portal. Search for construction permit within a 2 miles radius of the property over the last 12 months. If you see more than 200 units approved in a tight geography, that is supply risk. Price it into your model and know exactly what this is going to cost you. Step 3 thing you need to take into consideration is the school district work. Use greatschools.org. Again, use greatschools.org, but don't just read the rating, read the trend arrows. A to B heading downward is more dangerous than a C that is holding steady. Investors and family both respond to school perception. It is a direct driver of demand. Step 4 thing you need to take into consideration here is check the employer anchor. Google the top 3 employers within a 10-mile radius. Then Google each employer's name and the word layoffs, closure, or moving. This takes 5 minutes and could save you 6-figure mistakes right there. Step 5 thing you need to take into consideration is run the 36-month crime trend. Use neighborhood scout or what crime. Don't look at the number in isolation. Look at the direction. Is violent crime up 15% year over year? That is a red flag regardless of what the current rate says. And again, those are all steps you can take to mitigate against you losing on your investment deal. And what David did next, this is where I'm going to kind of make it very, very clear so that you know the last step David took. Now, here is the part of David's story that most people don't know. After conversation, David did something that most people don't have the courage to do. He sold the property. He took the $260,000, absorbed the $127,000 loss, and called me back 3 weeks later, ready to do it again the right way. 6 months after that conversation, David closed on a duplex in a Houston suburb with a verified loan flood rating, a school district trending from C to B, and 2 major employers' anchors within 8 miles radius. Medical center, a logistic hub, expanding. His monthly cash flow $680 after PITI, taxes, insurance, and a vacancy reserve. He didn't lose to the market. He lost the process, and when he fixed the process, the market rewarded him immediately. And these are things I want you to understand or be informed about. Marry the process, trade the property, because every property in Texas will tell you a story. Your job is to know how to read it right and make the right decision. Don't be that person that lose money on a bad deal or because of neighborhood trade, but be that person that make a smart decision. The people who build real estate through, or the people who build wealth through real estate in Texas, are not the ones with the most money. They are the ones with the best sources. David's $127,000 loss was not bad luck. It was a gap in the checklist, and now you have the checklist. If you're looking at an investment property right now in Houston, in Dallas, in San Antonio, do not skip the neighborhood audit. If you want me to look at a deal with you personally, Richard, let's connect, and I'll be here to represent you and run the numbers and make sure you are not the next person calling me on a Tuesday afternoon with a $127,000 mistake. My job isn't just to help you find a property, it's to help you build portfolio that actually works long term. Again, if you want to reach out, I'll be here to represent you every step of the process. What you don't know in real estate can cost you a lot of money. Don't let it cost you everything, and I will see you in the next video.